Greetings and welcome to Master of Lore's thematic playthroughs of the Lord of the Rings living card game. It's been a long time and I'm really glad to be back. Those of you who have been reading my blog know that I've been eagerly anticipating the Lost Realm expansion, but like the ship that was bearing away the last king of that lost realm, Arvedui, my cards were lost at sea. And so, sadly, it's only months later that I finally got them, and I'm getting a chance to play these scenarios. Today, I want to play the last scenario in this set. It's called Deadman's Dike. Deadman's Dike is the most difficult scenario in this expansion, and it features a FFG created villain named Thordir, who looks to be some kind of wraith with a mysterious history that is somehow intertwined with that of Iarion, another FFG created character who's a ranger. Deadman's Dike is a really interesting scenario because it is based on a location that is mentioned only twice in Lord of the Rings. The first time is at the Council of Elrond, when Elrond gives a brief history of the Northern Kingdom. You can get the full details of that in an article on my blog. But the mention that really gives us the FFG, the inspiration for this quest in particular, comes from this guy right here, Barleyman Beravor. And it's when Gandalf and the company are going home in the Return of the King, and as they pass through the Prancing Pony, they explain to Barleyman all that's gone on, and tell him that the king is back on the throne, and that things are going to change in the north as well. And Beravor is a bit skeptical. As they talk about the realms that will be reestablished in the north, he refers to this ancient capital, to which Beravor replies, "Up away by Deadman's Dike, that's haunted land, they say. None but a robber would go there." "The rangers go there," said Gandalf. "Deadman's Dike, you say? So it has been called for long years, but its right name, Barleyman, is Fornost Erain, Norbury of the Kings. And the king will come there again one day, and then you'll have some fair folk riding through." So from this one line from Barleyman Beravor, suggesting that Deadman's Dike is haunted, we have an entire scenario of enemies who are undead and wraiths who will be terroring our heroes. Now, where exactly are we heading? Well, if we take a look in the atlas here, we started our adventure in the Lost Realm with the intruders of Chetwood, and we've been chasing these orcs out through the Weather Hills. The orcs have now been caught, but we saw that there was some damage being done by another party of enemies not related to the orcs. And those are the wraiths and the undead that we're now following to Deadman's Dike here at the south end of the North Downs in Eriador. Eriador is a geographic name for this northern region. And so we're here at this place, Fornost. This was the fortress of the Northern Kingdom and the capital of Arthedain, which was one of those fragmented kingdoms that survived the longest after Angmar and the Witch King were pillaging the others. You can see where we're headed next from here. We'll be going through the Etten Moors to Mount Graham and ultimately up to Carndum, which is where the Witch King's capital was, approximately 1,300 years before the time of our scenario. So here we are, the ancient fortress of the north, now a hangout for the Dunedain, although in this scenario, apparently a very haunted place with wraiths and undead. So I always try to do a thematic deck, and this is no exception. However, I've only got one ranger in my deck, and that's Beravor, the FFG created card draw hero from the core set. Elrond is going to be one of my other heroes, along with Sam Gamgee. Now, I always struggle using Sam Gamgee on the deluxe expansions because, of course, he was still just a gardener for Mr. Frodo at this time in the timeline. This is all before the events of Lord of the Rings. But I feel it's particularly fitting to use Sam in his own geographical region, particularly with the type of deck that I'm using. I've got an Ent deck. Now you might say, wait a sec, what do Ents have to do with the north? Well, the Ent wives apparently have gotten lost somewhere here, and Treebeard asks the hobbits if he's seen them. And In fact, our first mention of the Ents in The Lord of the Rings comes from none other than Sam Gamgee himself. And it happens in the second chapter of the book, The Shadow of the Past, when Sam is defending the honor of the Baggins family and sharing stories of the Green Dragon, in which he says, queer things you do here these days, to be sure. And goes on to talk about one of the things that he's heard, saying, all right, said Sam, laughing with the rest, but what about these tree men? These giants, as you might call them. They do say that one bigger than a tree was seen up away beyond the north moors not long back. Who's they? My cousin Hal, for one. He saw one. So, Sam, perhaps following up on the advice of his cousin Hal, is going to go on an adventure with the Rangers of the North, and he is in fact going to encounter treemen. I've got a number of them in my deck. Take a look at the deck list here. I'm calling it Cousin Hal's Heroes, and basically I've stuffed it with just about every single Ent in the game that's come out so far. These guys are powerful, but it takes them a long time to get going. They're rather costly allies, and they come into play exhausted, so the goal is to rouse those Ents. But until you do, Elrond needs to be the chief defender, and Beravor and Sam need to deal with questing. Elrond's got 3 defense, which is not bad, but not strong enough for most of these enemies, so you really got to equip him with a burning brand and give him some Ent draft to drink so that he can survive, and even then he's going to take a couple hits every single time. So you need to get the Warden of Healing out early as well, because with Elrond's ability, that Warden of Healing is stripping 2 damage off of him every single round. Absolutely essential. So there you have it. Elrond, Rangers, and Ents. A tribute to Sam's cousin Hal, ready to go to Deadman's Dike. And so let's begin. Deadman's Dike has 2 quest stages, the Shades of Angmar, in which we'll be fighting a bunch of undead wraiths coming back, and then a fell wraith in which we encounter Thaurdir, the villain of this cycle, who's set aside at the beginning of the game. So at the beginning, we've got Elrond with us, this ranger who looks to have some kind of important lineage, which has attracted the attention of the wraiths in this story, created for us by Christian Peterson at FFG. And to begin this scenario, the flavor text says, "You've brought the prisoners you rescued from the Weather Hills to Fornost. The Rangers gathered there are shocked to hear what you discovered at Amon Form. Before their chieftain can decide what to do, an unnatural fog covers the ruins in darkness, and specters of dead warriors emerge from the mists to attack." So setup has us putting Elrond into play, setting Thaurdir aside out of play, and adding 1 copy of Fornost Square to the staging area. I'll go ahead and draw my first 6 cards as well. With this deck, I'm really looking to get a Warden of Healing or a Steward of Gondor early in the game. The Warden of Healing so I can continue to defend against these undead wraiths without getting too many wounds on Elrond, and the Steward of Gondor so I can accelerate my Ent allies coming out. So let's see what we get for our first 6. I'll go ahead and give it another shuffle here. I've shuffled thoroughly beforehand, but I'll shuffle again well now. So I make sure that everything is completely random. This deck has been winning about 40% of the time against this scenario, so I expect a good close game here. Let's see what happens. So I get Cram, Sneak Attack, Treebeard, a Booming Ent, Bill the Pony, and the Steward of Gondor. I think we're going to play with that. I think we'll definitely play with that. So, let's go on to side 1B here. When revealed, each player must search the encounter deck for a Baleful Shade, this is an undead wraith, and put it into play engaged with him. Shuffle the encounter deck and reveal 1 encounter card per player. Well, as long as I'm on this stage at the end of the refresh phase, I will discard a card from the top of the deck. This kind of reminds me of the old Star Wars CCG in terms of theme, in which the deck sort of represents your life force. And as we go through this scenario, our life force is going to be slowly drained away by fear of these undead wraiths. I wonder if they really exist or not, or if it's haunted and this whole thing is just fighting with strength against figments of our imagination. Certainly Thaudir seems to be a real-ish character, though. We were following his tracks, whatever that means, through the Weather Hills. So let's see what we start with. Dark Sorcery. Doomed 2, puts at 33, and this is actually quite a good card to see go by here now. When revealed, each player discards each ally he controls that has the same title as a card in his discard pile. So that is some Dark Sorcery indeed, but fortunately I've got nothing in my discard pile yet, nor any allies in play. So the Dark Sorcery of Thaudir whiffs at the beginning of this stage. Alright, so it does put my threat at 33 though, which means we're too closer to getting Thaudir's Damned coming down on us. That's an enemy with threat engagement cost of 35, and if we do happen to encounter a Dead Lord, he is going to be on us. Yeesh. Alright, let's go ahead and begin. I've added a resource to each of my heroes. I've drawn one card, and let's start. So to begin, I think I'll bring out Sam's buddy, Bill the Pony. He seems like a good one to start with. There you go, Sam. Your old buddy Bill is with you, giving him an extra hit point, and providing one more questing ally for us here. I'm going to put Cram on Elrond in case a second enemy comes out. Elrond's going to be the chief defender here, and so discarding that Cram gives him a chance to ready. And then I'm going to pay one off of Beravor and Elrond to bring out the Envoy of Pelargir, another basically meat shield. What message she's bringing from the coasts of Gondor up to the Northern Kingdom, I couldn't tell you. Please forgive the thematic concession. I need more people out on the table. Treebeard and the Booming Ent will have to wait till next time once I get the Steward of Gondor up and running on Elrond. So that's all I've got to begin. Let's go ahead and quest. There's already one threat out there with the Fornost Square, and this Fornost Square is going to gain in threat +1 each time I need to discard cards from the top of my deck. So I have to travel there the first time. I have to face these shades in the square from the get-go. I'll go ahead and start questing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's see what we get. Oh, it's more Dark Sorcery. My threat is rising very rapidly, but fortunately, the Envoy of Pelargir nor Bill the Pony have any skeletons in their closet which would make them susceptible to this haunting sorcery. So another whiff from Dark Sorcery, and I'd say we're off to a pretty strong start here. I'm going to travel to the Fornost Square. Wait, let me resolve questing. 7 to 1 is 6 progress. Out of 11. Now I'll travel to the Fornost Square, and then I need to deal with this Baleful Shade. Baleful Shade gets a shadow card, and when it attacks, I need to discard the top card of my deck. If it's an ally, he's already at 4. So this guy can get nasty quick. Elrond's going to defend against him for 3. Oh, that hurts. A Warden of Healing. The Baleful Shade's at 4. Shadow card. Defending player discards the top card of his deck. Attacking enemy gets +1 for the cost. 2 more. So that puts the Baleful Shade at 6, which wounds Elrond within a hit point of death. Whew. This scenario hits you hard. Even with 2 whiffing treacheries, I'm already in pretty rough shape to begin with here. Now I can't really do any damage back on this Baleful Shade unless I discard my Cram, but I don't think now's the right time for that. So we're just going to go ahead and call it a round. That puts my threat at 36. And as I refresh everyone, I also need to discard 1 card off the top of my deck for the Shades of Angmar. And that's the end of round 1. Round 2. Add a resource to everybody. 2 off of Sam for the Steward of Gondor. And with support from Denethor, Elrond is now going to be an ally mustering force. He gets 2 resources there, and I think the first one who I'm going to bring into play is actually Treebeard, who almost acts as another hero for me. Treebeard.
Tree? I am no tree.
Sorry, Treebeard comes into play like all Ents exhausted, but is going to collect a resource each round for me. Alright, so I've got nothing in the staging area, and I've got a Baleful Shade that's going to be scaring me and chewing through my life force really quickly here, so I want to see if I can leave back enough to actually do some damage on him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's just not even possible. There's nothing to be done with this Baleful Shade until Treebeard is ready. So we're going to go ahead and quest hard again this time, and maybe let the Baleful Shade go ahead and destroy Pony or Envoy. We'll have him destroy Envoy with 1 less hit point, slightly weaker, better chump blocker. So we'll quest for 5, 6, and in case we get another enemy that's going to potentially kill Elrond, I'm going to leave Bill up as well. So we're questing for 6 this time. And the encounter deck reveals another Fornost square. Fortunately, I'm questing hard enough to get through this one. 6 minus 1 is 5. I've made it through this Fornost square, bumped the progress on the quest to 7, and now get to travel to the second Fornost square before it gets the chance to become more threatening with this Baleful Shade and Shades of Angmar discarding cards from my deck. Well, time to defend. Baleful Shade gets a shadow card. Envoy of Pelargir has a parchment form. There's no shadow effect from the Norbury Tombs. The Envoy of Pelargir is killed. And I'll go ahead and swing back with Elrond and Bill the Pony for 3, which does a couple hits on the Baleful Shade. Oh, I forgot to discard a card from the top of my deck to see whether or not the Baleful Shade would go to 4. It was an Ent draft. He does not. 2 is still sufficient to kill the Envoy, and it kind of makes me wish I'd been daring enough to defend with Elrond. That's why this guy is such a scary enemy. He can attack for 2 or 6. You have no idea, depending on what comes with your discard and the shade. Deadman's Dike. I don't blame you, Barley Man. The place is haunted. Let's refresh everybody. Raise the threat at the end of round 2. I'm now at 37, and the Shades of Angmar are still scaring me into discarding the top card each round. Let's resource up. Sam, Treebeard, Beravor, and Elrond, plus a little support from the White Tower. Oh my goodness. This is going just about as perfectly as it could. Faramir. And yeah, he's definitely going to come out for 4 resources off of Elrond. And now I think I'm actually in quite good shape. Instead of taking 4 off of Elrond to pay for that, I think I'll use 1 from Sam, leave 1 back on Elrond, and then use a resource from Elrond who can use his resources for any sphere, as well as 1 from Treebeard who can pay for an Ents to figure out the booming Ent. Alright, time to quest. I'm going to quest for 3, 4, 5, 6. And it is a heavy curse. Sorcery. When revealed, attached to the current quest, counts as a condition attachment with the text. When a player plays a card, increase its cost by 1 if there is a card that has that same title in the owner's discard pile. It's getting even scarier in the discard pile now. And the heavy curse surges into Deadman's Gate. Deadman's Gate, a 4-threat location, which when active caused me to discard just by taking actions and responses. So I quested for 6. There's 4 threat in the staging area. That's 2 progress. I'm going to go ahead and use Faramir to bump this up to 9, which allows me to make 5 progress, clearing the Fornost square, making 1 more on the quest here, and allowing me to go ahead and travel to Deadman's Gate. Now, a Baleful Shade. I'm in the same situation. He could potentially be attacking for 2, in which case Elrond would survive, but if he goes as high as 4 or 6 again, I'm toast. So I'm afraid Sam is going to sacrifice Bill the Pony. A wise choice. An Envoy of Pelargir makes the Baleful Shade 4. The Shadow effect makes me discard the top 3 cards with +1 for each different type. Ally. Event. 2 more. Attacking for 6. Bill the Pony has been massacred by a Baleful Shade. My bad, Sam. You have to tell your cousin Hal that it was a terrible idea to go looking for those tree men up there. I have a chance to attack back again, this time for 2, 6. That does 4 damage, more than enough to finish off the Baleful Shade. And I gotta say, I've never ever been this much in control of the scenario before at this stage. This is pretty amazing. Raise my threat by 1, discard 1 for Fear of the Shades of Einmar, and refresh everyone. Alright. Let's see what happens this round. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Entmoot. Treebeard is going to go ahead and call this Entmoot. It's not something that happens very often. In fact, when they have the Entmoot in Lord of the Rings, they say they haven't had one for years and years, so I'm not sure how this is happening right now, because it hasn't happened for years and years. And in fact, I had the chance to call an Entmoot 3 times, but we're going to have one right now. Gather around and sway, people. Oomba, roomba, roomba, room. Oomba, roomba, room. 2 Ents, an Ent Draft and another Treebeard, and a Warden of Healing. Oh, so close to the top. He is the one missing piece right now that I must get out there before I encounter Thaldir in the next stage, a Fell Wraith. So I shuffle everything back up nicely here. Go ahead and cut the deck. And because I've got nothing facing me and I really want that Warden of Healing, I'm going to go ahead and exhaust Beravor. Let me make sure I didn't need to pay for that Entmoot. Oh, I did! There was already an Entmoot in my discard pile, so due to a heavy curse, the Entmoot costs 1 resource. I'm going to exhaust Beravor to draw 2 cards. Ah! Beautiful! The Warden of Healing and an extra Steward of Gondor. So, the Warden of Healing comes out for 2. Immediately exhausts to strip a couple wounds off of Elrond. Treebeard shows up and gives Elrond a sip of Ent Draft. Now he's got 6 hit points and he's grown an inch taller, and his long, maggily drawn locks are getting a little bit curly. And I think that I am just about ready to face Thaldir. This is unbelievable. I have never, ever, ever had this kind of success against this scenario. My deck is coming up perfectly. The encounter deck is whiffing with Dark Sorcery too early in the game. You're not even really getting to see much of a contest here, guys. I'm really sorry. Okay, I'm not sorry. I'm actually really excited. Alright, let's go ahead and quest. Do I want to finish this? I would need 7 to finish this. It would bring out Thaldir and an extra card. It would take a hard push to finish, which probably wouldn't leave me much to face Thaldir. So what I want to do this round is push it just to the edge, clear Deadman's Gate, and be ready to quest into Thaldir the next round. I just realized that because of Deadman's Gate, I should be incredibly fearful of all these actions and responses that I've done. I did an action with the Warden of Healing to heal. That should be 1 card discarded. I did an action with the Entmoot. That should be another card discarded. And I think that's it. Oh, I did a response with Elrond when I healed with the Warden of Healing. That's another card discarded. Is that everything now? Yes. The Deadman's Gate. Butterbur, you are right. It's haunted up here. Alright. Let's quest. I'm going to quest for 3, 4. And I'll throw the Booming Ant in just in case I need to Faramir up to 7 here. So I'm currently going for 4. The encounter deck reveals Broken Battlements. As I said, this was the fortress of the Dunedain, now lost. The battle was in 1975. We're somewhere between 3001 and 3018 in our time. 1975 is when the huge battle was between Glorfindel and the Witch King and at Fornost, in which he drove the Witch King away and said, you know, you're not going to die by a man. Alright, so this one, and I'm not sure how the theme works on this, the longer the broken battlements are unexplored, the closer I get to losing 5 cards off the top of my deck. So it's 4-2, that does 2 progress. I do want to go ahead and clear Deadman's Gate. So I'm going to exhaust Faramir to bring this up to 7, which then makes 5 progress. Deadman's Gate is explored, not before scaring me to use Faramir and losing the Miner of the Iron Hills. And that makes 1 more progress then on the quest. I'm at 9. I'm 2 away from encountering the Fell Wraith. Let's go ahead and travel to the battlements straight away. We don't want to leave those unexplored for too long. Sorry guys, Treebeard, Elrond, nothing to do. Just talk about the Elder Days for a while everybody else refreshes. Raise my threat by 1. Discard a card for Shades of Angmar. And remove 1 time token from the Broken Battlements. Next round. Now I have a Sneak Attack Gandalf set up. I tell you, this could not be any smoother. 3, 4, and what do you say, Denethor? Send some resources along up to your former companion kingdom in the north. With the Sneak Attack Gandalf in hand, I'm confident enough to go ahead and quest through. So, let's go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I may not be able to quest through. Let's just go for 6 and see what happens. Our first side quest, and things are starting to get a little bit more interesting here. We are in fact in the shadow world here. The more you struggle against the undead, the deeper you are drawn into the wraith world. You must escape before madness or despair takes you. What this thing is going to do is at the end of the refresh phase, if I have any undead engage with me, it increases my terror. I have to discard an extra card for each one. Once I run out here, it's game over. I'm about halfway through. The shadow world surges into another baleful shade. 2. So I was questing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With this shadow world coming out, Iarion stands up and gets an extra willpower. So that's 2, 5, 7. I'm going to go ahead and use Faramir's action to make it 10. 10 to 2 is 8. Ooh, that's going to clear it. Am I ready to clear it? I'm ready to clear it. We're going for it, people. We're going for it. The heavy curse is cleared. The broken battlements are cleared. And, most importantly and most terrifyingly, the shades of Angmar are cleared. We encounter Stage 2A of Fell Wraith. The foul sorcery that drives the ghouls against you attacks your mind as well, and you fight to master your fear in face of the unrelenting enemy. The question of who works the evil spell is answered by the appearance of a dark figure. The old man, who you had thought the orc's prisoner, has revealed himself to be a powerful wraith. He must be stopped! When revealed, add Thaurdir to the staging area and reveal one encounter card. The Haunted Keep. While the Haunted Keep is the active location, the first undead enemy revealed each round gains Surge. Alright. What happens here is that every time Thaurdir destroys a character, you either need to discard 3 cards or return him to the staging area. Fortunately, Elrond with his Ent draft has a good chance of surviving. Oh no, he doesn't. There is still one more missing piece to all my lovely combos that's not out here. The Burning Brand. The Burning Brand, which allows Elrond swinging that Ent draft to safely defend against Thaurdir. He can't do it. That means Treebeard is going to step up to the plate and hope for the best. I've got another Treebeard here, so if I lose him, I'm just going to be set back a couple rounds. But that's the risk that's going to be taken. I'll go ahead and travel to the Haunted Keep. Then, I'll engage the Baleful Shade. Thaurdir, with an engagement cost of 1, comes down on his own volition, chomping at the bit. Add a shadow card to each. Pay 1 for sneak attack.
I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me.
Gandalf. He's going to use his ability to drop 4 damage onto Thaurdir. Yeah, Fell Wraith, when you suddenly revealed yourself, you didn't expect to run into the Grey Pilgrim, did you? I didn't think so. And let's go ahead and have him attack. Shadow, exhaust a character you control. Who's the most useless of these characters right now? It's either one of these guys, because they're each only attacking for 2. I'll go ahead and exhaust Eorien. He's exhausted just watching Gandalf fight the Baleful Shade. You're supposed to have great lineage. Were you really so tired just watching that little battle there? Gandalf takes 2 hits from the Baleful Shade. Not enough to kill him, which means he's going to come back to my hand and have a chance to come out again next time, which is amazing. And the Baleful Shade is going to attack Elrond, defending for 3. Another sneak attack goes by. Sad to see it go, but glad that the Baleful Shade is not gaining strength. Exhaust a character you control. Well, I guess it's going to be the Warden of Healing. No need to heal anyone this time, is there? Yeah, he's only attacking for 2. 2 to 3, no damage done on Elrond. We swing back with Treebeard and the Booming Ent for 6 against the Baleful Shade, defeating it. And that is the end of the round. I'm going to keep Thaurdir with me. Because of the Shadow World, it does mean that I need to discard 1 card. But it's better than the 3 that I would have had to discard if he defeated someone. Gandalf pops back to my hand at the end of the combat phase. And let's refresh everybody. Alright. Draw 1 card. And resource up everybody here. I'd really like to get a Burning Brand on someone to heal. So I'm going to go ahead and exhaust Beravor and see if my brilliant luck can continue here. It can't. Legacy of Numenor and Gandalf. 2 great cards, but not the ones I'm looking for right now. I'll exhaust Steward. Get a little bit more cash flow from Gondor. Coming up to Elrond. And let's go ahead and bring in this Wandering Ent. He'll be a nice damage soak for any treacheries that might appear. And let's bring in Gandalf.
I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me.
2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome back. I knew you weren't going to just be sneaky attacking against Thourdir and letting him stand. I think what I'm going to do with Gandalf's ability this time is draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. And it works. I've got the Burning Brand. That goes on Elrond for 2. And now I'm wishing that I'll pay 1. Ooh, which is the best choice here? Should I save those 2 to ready an end? Or should I bring in Quick Beam? Let's bring in Quick Beam for 2.
Quick beam on the scene, all the elf girls scream like a tree, that's me, I like to keep it green.
Quick Beam comes into play exhausted, but hello ladies. Feeling quite good about this. Very comfortable that if I get a surging wraith coming out here from the Haunted Keep, I'll have enough people in play to deal with the problem. Let's go ahead and quest. I think I'm going to make this round my big quest push and just weather Thourdir's attack, and then try and finish the game by killing Thourdir in the next round. So let's go full burn here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. With the chance to go 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 with Faramir. Restless Evil. Fortunately, not a sorcery. A treachery card with a sorcery allows Thourdir to heal 3 damage and then attack. Somehow this Restless Evil is not a sorcery, but I'm not complaining. It does give Thourdir an additional attack and an additional defense. But that's not much. I'll set it on him just so I don't forget. I'm a forgetful person sometimes. Which means that my 13 is just going full on to the quest. I will go ahead and exhaust Faramir to make that 19. Clearing the Haunted Keep and putting 16 progress on the quest. That's nice in case that's been fully cleared now. Alright, time for Thourdir to attack. He's going to be attacking for 7, but Elrond eats some cram and readies himself. He's only defending for 3, but he's still sipping on the Ent Draft, so he's got 6 hit points. That means 4 damage, although putting him a wound from death will not kill him. And he can defend with that Burning Brand with full confidence that no shadow effect from Thourdir is going to take him down. So Thourdir gets a shadow card. Elrond exhausts to defend. The shadow card would have whiffed anyway. It makes 4 damage. A brutal attack to be sure, but not enough to take out Elrond, who is now healed 2 wounds from the Warden of Healing. I've got some guys left to swing back, and I'll do just that. 3 from Treebeard, 2 from the Booming Ent. That's 5, 6 attack. The Booming Ent getting +1 from Quick Beam's damage. 6 to 4 does 2 more damage, and it looks like I'm wrapping up this round just 3 wounds away from victory. The Shadow World, still active, forces me to discard 1 card at the end of the round, and having an undead in play. My threat's at 41. I refresh everyone, and Gandalf is going to go away. We may see him yet again. In fact, we definitely will see him again. In fact, I think Gandalf's built up a little bit of a vendetta with Thourdir, and so we're going to end the game just like this. During the planning phase, I will pay 5 resources for a dry cast of Gandalf. Now I'm going to play Gandalf right here.
I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me.
Response. After Gandalf's entered play, choose one. Draw 3 cards, deal 4 damage to an enemy, or reduce your threat by 5. Oh, I pick deal 4 damage to an enemy. Faramir is defeated. If the player has no cards in the deck, he is eliminated from the game. That is the largest deck I've ever finished this with. The players cannot defeat the stage while Faramir has any hit points remaining. -1 will take it. And if the players defeat this stage, 16 to 13, they have won the game. Guys, I don't know what to tell you. I have never, ever, ever had this scenario go this smoothly. And I was hoping for a drop-down, drag-out epic battle. What you got instead was this deck coming up as perfectly as it possibly ever could, while the encounter deck just couldn't seem to muster its swarm of undead the way it has in the past on me. And this is a pretty decisive victory. Barlin and Butterbur, this place ain't haunted. The king will come again, and folk will be traveling freely around the fortress of Fornost. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, happy questing.